Hey, folks. It's Friday evening. It's the week is over. It's over. Finally over. It was a great week. It was not a great week, but it was sort of okay. Well, okay, whatever. As weeks go, but this week I did not, or at least no classified documents from the Oval Office were found in any of my estates this week. So that's a good thing because it's coming soon. Pretty soon, classified documents from the Oval Office are going to be found in everyone's house, in everyone's garage around the world at this point. The FBI is just going to start going door to door searching, and we'll find them everywhere. I think, but they haven't found any here yet. That's good. And also, I did not write a huge, mega best-selling book this week vilifying my family as racists. I did not do that. It was tempting, but then when I realized that no one cares if I do it, I decided not to do it. This Prince Harry thing. It's the guy. At least for a guy like me, I guess half of America or half of the world loves him. Because he's a prince, right? How can you, sure, he's like, you glorify him, right? You romanticize, and half of America hates him. And I'm the kind of guy who hates him. I love characters that you love to hate. The character they call in the movie business, the character you love to hate. That's Prince Harry for me. And then Meghan Markle, because, it's just so clearly that they're vying for popularity. They want to be the Kardashians, the next Kardashians, which they are. I guess they have now achieved Kardashian status, and I hate the Kardashians too. I don't hate them. I'm sure they're nice people, but and I am jealous of them. I want their power and money, but that's not the world as I think it should be. But then I stop and think, and I wonder, how should the world be? What is it? Is it really am I the guy who's going to say the world should be this way? We should all be, Plato, or sitting around Socrates. Socrates was the guy before. Socrates, or sitting around the feet of Socrates, listening to his wisdom. I don't. Is that who we are? I mean, we're born out of the slime. We're supposed to be. These stupid primitive guys in the mud trying to scrape our way through life. We're not supposed to be Abraham Lincolns or Socrates or Shakespeare's. We're supposed to be the other guys. That's what humanity is all about. If we were all Shakespeare, no one would work. Shakespeare worked, but he didn't. But and there's something very elitist about it. And I like, when I was reading, I watched some of the videos about, Piers Morgan, slamming on Harry and Meghan. And I loved it. I thought, this is great, and he dug out little inconsistencies, little inaccuracies in the book, and listening to these inaccuracies, says, oh, he's a liar too. He's a liar. But then I realized these inaccuracies are like, really small things. Like he had some memory that was slightly different from the way he when he heard the news of his mother's death, or the queen's death or something, he says he got it, he was at his castle, but in fact he was in Switzerland. Come on, seriously, that was several years ago. Not his mother. His mother's the queen mother, so his grandmother's death, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was quite a while ago, and it's to call this a big inaccuracy is kind of it's because you want something, because you want to find the inaccuracy. It's because you want to find evidence that Harry is full of crap, and he is full of crap as far as I'm concerned. But this will to hate him or to hate anyone is doing the same thing he's doing. It's you're making news out of nothing in order to get people upset, in order to get people to watch you, to click on you. That's all it is. It's all the same. And he's doing exactly the same thing that Harry's doing. The people who hate the Kardashians are doing exactly the same thing the Kardashians are doing. It's all the same thing. And who cares? In the end, it seems like, well, I don't know if it was a waste of time. I felt like I was. Then I realized I was kind of ashamed of myself, because I was watching these videos and wasting my time. But I don't know if it really is a waste of time because we're human beings and this is what we do. We sit around and complain about each other. That's part of God's plan. I think that was in the famous third tablet that Moses dropped. I think law number 11 was sit around and complain about each other, and call each other names and insult each other. I think that's part of God's plan. It's what He wants. But then the thing that really made me think was there's an article in the review of the book in the Wall Street Journal. Everyone has to review the book, so the Wall Street Journal has to do it. So I looked at the review, and something like New York Times was going to be probably a glowing review, and I just didn't want to read that. So the Wall Street Journal would be more accurate. And the Wall Street Journal had a great line in it toward the end. And I really liked it. It really stunned me for a while. And the line went this. I wrote it down here. Hold on. It says, a friend said the other day, this is the reviewer talking. A friend said the other day, most of the forces in the world are pushing toward exhibitionism. Here he talks about a lot about himself. He mentions his penis and his kill number, body count, kill number in Afghanistan, which is 25 or something. Weird thing to write about in a book, but still okay. So most of the forces in the world are pushing toward exhibitionism and calling it honesty. The assumption is if you keep things to yourself, you have something to hide, and that was really interesting because it's true. We are, especially with social media, everyone wants to bare their souls. Everyone wants to look good or to do something to be interesting. They'll do anything. They'll kill themselves practically on video to get likes, to get followers. I'm sure a lot of what people do, not just what Meghan Markle did, who ruined Harry's chances to, ever talk to his family again in order to have a social media and a media presence in America. We all do that. We all do it, especially today. So that's true. But then I thought, is this really a bad thing, or is this something that's bad because you say it's bad? Newspapers, all newspapers, anyone who thinks about, including me, who thinks about the world today and says, "Oh, let me tell you about my opinion about the world today, how the world works. Listen to me. Hear my wisdom." They all say something bad. They say, "Well, the world is going to, hell in the handbasket. It's all going to crap because of exhibition, because of social media, because of this and that. All these basic human weaknesses and foibles and shortcomings. This will kill us all." Of course, it's been like that since time immemorial. Everything. If you want to appear wise, say something about the world we live in today and make it negative. And that will make you appear wise. So I thought about that, and I thought, wait a minute. Exhibition. Everything in the world is about exhibitionism, and we call it honesty. But is that really new? And I thought back about Samuel Pepys, right? The first diarist, the first great diarist. Of course, he didn't. I don't think he wrote for publication, but he bore his soul. Goethe wrote an autobiography, bore his soul. You go back further in the Middle Ages. One of the great first books of the Middle Ages is by Ulrich von Liechtenstein. He was a cross-dressing knight. He was an Austrian knight, and he would go to jousts, to tournaments as a knight, really as carrying a lance on a horse, the real thing. And he would dress up as a woman, or he would put woman's clothes on, I think, outside of his armor. So, he may have rode around in his free time without the armor in women's clothes. I'm not sure about that. But so there's, you wouldn't call him a drag queen or a cross-dresser. Those are all, or even a transgender or whatever, because those are all modern ideas, and we don't know exactly what he was doing, and we don't know what their attitudes toward that kind of thing were in the Middle Ages. We just don't know. So you can't really call it. You can't make it equivalent of happening today. But he did factually. He dressed up as a woman, went jousting, gained quite a name for himself, and wrote an autobiography of it in verse. He wrote a novel about his experiences jousting in the clothes of a woman. In verse, and that's one of the great It's not great. Well, as literature, it's not great, but it's clearly an important document of the Middle Ages, and that goes all the way back. And so, I mean, is that really a sign that the world today has gone to crap, or is it just who we are? This is what we do. And then if you take it one step further, who we are, we're all human beings, and we all have a life, and every one of our lives is just as valid as any other life, even if it's less interesting. I mean, most of our lives are not really interesting in that, in kind of a, this general, this sense of competing with each other to be interesting. But it's still a life. We still feel things. We still make things. We still have uniqueness about us, and then I thought, actually everyone's life should be on paper. Everyone's life should be somewhere recorded somewhere. Everyone's life should be valuable enough that someone else would want to dip into it and learn something from it, or experience something new, or see a different way of looking at things. I think every one of us has, maybe 90% of us does the same thing everyone does, but there is some little unique thing that we all do. We all have, some slight different relationship to our cats than everyone else. It's something. There was when I was doing my middle-age trip, my medieval trip, driving through the Dark Ages, the Die Nibelungenreise. I talked to a woman and she was an esoteric, kind of a witchy woman. I was talking about philosophy and Hildegard von Bingen and things like that. And so it was kind of a witchy woman. She was into esoteric heavily and into nature and stuff. And she took me to a broken down, a ruin of a monastery. And we went through there, and it was dark, and it was evening. We walked through those, the brick walls, just standing there, overgrown, and it just came over me. I just felt like they were all there. These nameless monks who lived there, who we've all forgotten. We talk about people in the past, the great names. Ulrich von Liechtenstein, we know the name, and then there are documents somewhere where this guy was born who we don't know about, but at least the name is in a document. But the guys in this cloister, in this monastery, no one knows their names, no one knows who they were. Yet they had some kind of life. They fell in love. They took vows. They had goals. They thought about life. They thought about what they were doing in life. They had some kind of intent, some kind of ideals. They all did. And so, did they deserve just to be erased? And it's just this feeling came over me that I just wanted to ask the ghost. I really felt like the ghosts were there. I mean, I don't want to overdo it. There were no ghosts, but I had a feeling that they were there. It was a feeling like, of community with these nameless people. And I wanted to walk through that monastery, the ruins of that monastery, and ask them their names. Just the names. Just tell me your names. Just say the names. So at least the names will survive. Don't tell me, what your favorite scripture is. Don't tell me, of your sins and how difficult, it is for you, to stick by the word of God that you believe in, or, to keep your vows, or whatever it is. Just tell me your names. At least that, but I couldn't even get that, of course. There was that, even that was gone. And so, I mean, if Prince Harry wants to be a whiny bitch, or whatever he is, maybe he's a great man, I don't know, let him be. That's his right, and good for him. Good for him. I don't know. He's I guess I read he's number 5 in line for the throne. So his big other brother, which I think is William, right, would be number 1 in line for the throne. Does he have 4 other brothers or something? Or their uncles in line for the throne or something? Is someone else in line for the throne? I don't know. But clearly there are people in that house and, important for the house of Windsor, Buckingham, whatever it is, whose names I don't know. But now I know Harry's name. And I know Meghan Markle's name, and and that she had a small role in in Suits, I guess it was, or something. So I know that, and so more power to him. More power to all of us. If we, if you have a social media following, if you can put your name out there, if you can write a book. I work with people who are writing books, young authors. Good. Put your stamp on the world, some small stamp on the world, because your life is deserves to be heard. Your life deserves to be somehow, noticed, because it's a great thing. Just living, just going through life, just getting there. I sometimes imagine life as, and I think I've written this actually in a book. I think I wrote this in Losing My Religion. I imagine God sitting on the couch watching us, and like having a TV set with 8 billion. What is it? How many people are there in the, so many billion channels. In each channel, he goes into his channel. He's channel hopping. He says, "Oh, Eric is now drinking whiskey in front of his camera again. Oh, that's okay. I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe there's something more interesting tomorrow." Goes over to the next guy, and finds something interesting. And I really think that the most interesting thing about our world is that every life we have is a new, unique experience, a story unto itself, which is too complex and too private, too intimate to ever tell, that will never be known. And that's one of the things that make me appreciate life. Well, okay, it's Friday, folks. It was a pretty good week. I had some good things this week. I had a good relationship with nature via the park. I went out a couple times for a walk, and it was really nice. And I did one or two good things, not as much as I wanted to writing, but I did accomplish something writing. I had a couple of classes with students, which I appreciated. I appreciated their interest. I appreciated them taking me seriously, and I really hope that they can finish their books and write their books. And I had a good. I had sauerkraut soup. Sauerkraut soup. A friend of ours, Susanna. Hi, Susanna. Made sauerkraut soup for us, and we went over there, and she made a sauerkraut soup, and I thought, sauerkraut soup, that can't be right, but it was great. It was really good, and the Germans have this thing with cabbage. It's probably some old farming thing, right? They have this thing where they have several kinds of good cabbage soups or stews. It's actually a stew, and Astrid today was inspired by this and said, I'm going to make a Wirsing soup. Wirsing is a kind of cabbage, so another kind of cabbage stew. And my favorite cabbage stew in Germany is kale stew, Grünkohl-Suppe, Grünkohl-Eintopf, and it's with Wurst, it's with sausage, and it's kale. Is this old kind of tough cabbage that had a brief time of popularity in Brooklyn, I guess, or something. But in Germany, it's just this old traditional farmer's cabbage, and that's my favorite. It's really good. I love it. Winter is a perfect time for it. It's one of the great things about Germany, the cabbage stews, the cabbage soups. And I think I've never succeeded in making a really good Grünkohl Eintopf or kale stew, but I'll try again next week, because I really like that, and winter is a good time for it. I hope you guys have good food this winter, the perfect winter foods. Take advantage of winter to have good, heavy, 2 heavy meals. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. Wishing you all the best. Take care of yourself, and have a good weekend.